If you're looking for MT or someone to grind part of the game for you, contact Cliff2_3 on Twitter. He's one of the most trusted and reliable people in the community. You won't regret it. Here we go. So today, guys, I'm going to talk about Unlimited. And I'm going to break down the entire timeline of Unlimited in NBA2K21 from the day the game was released to now, and the progression from it being completely broken to the point now where I think it's actually been completely abandoned by 2K. Before we get into all of that, guys, please like and subscribe. We are 50 odd subs away from 1,000 subs, something I never thought would happen when I started YouTubing probably in like January. It's kind of crazy to me. So thank you to everyone who's subbed. If you haven't, drop a sub now. I do a podcast every weekend where we talk about subjects like this with some of the biggest names in the 2K community. So drop a like, drop a sub, and get the notifications on so you can catch that podcast when it drops. But let's get into today's video. So I think to start talking about Unlimited in 2K21, we need to go back to 2K20. Because I know this isn't going to be a popular opinion, but in my opinion, Unlimited was perfect last year. Now, I'm not looking back on it in rose-tinted glasses, and there was issues which I will touch on, but I had no issue whatsoever with Unlimited last year. The idea of 12-0, maybe 10-0 would have been better, but 12-0 was fine. There was a legitimate chance that anyone who played this game had the opportunity to go and do that. It just felt very achievable and became a real quest for me every month to go and get that 12-0 reward. And 2K were obviously invested in Unlimited as their key game mode. It was their key moneymaker because people ripped packs for the main goal of using these cards in Unlimited. And what was great about it is even if you couldn't go 12-0, if you won 9 games, 10 games, 11 games, whatever it is before you lost 3, there was always good rewards there. And 2K were very, very clearly invested. Like I said, they ran weekend events where they'd put old 12-0 rewards back on the board. And there'd be a real buzz and excitement and a real motivation to play Unlimited for a weekend now and then. I'm the best example of this because when I started playing the game, I went 12-0 every season. But I didn't really start playing until March. But yet, because of these weekend incentives and things like that, where older 12-0 rewards were back on the board, I ended up with every 12-0 reward last year. And like I said, even if you didn't go 12-0, even if you did go 12-0 multiple times, you couldn't get the card again and again. But there was MT in there, and there was contracts in there, and there was tokens and packs. There was always a reason just to keep playing. So that then brings us on to Unlimited in 2K21. And if we go to the start of the year, when they announced the new format, I was really excited. It appeared to be a FIFA divisions type system which would separate players based on skill level. You had 9 tiers, and as everyone thought initially, you would progress through the tiers and only play people in the same tier. This meant that the Pink, Diamond and Galaxy Opal tiers would be filled with elite players. This also meant if you were weaker at the game, you would be less likely to run into the crazy sweats and the elite players of the world. You would also be less likely to get the bigger rewards, which makes sense. But you could have fun playing people at a similar skill level. If you weren't good enough to get out of the Sapphire tier, at least you know every time you loaded in, you wouldn't get blown out by one of the top 50 players in the world. Another word for this is skill-based matchmaking, and it would have been skill-based matchmaking based on tiers. Unfortunately, this was the first crack that formed in this Unlimited concept. I didn't play much in Season 1, but in Season 2 I got into it. I ran into Patrick Ewing in the Amethyst League. Patrick Ewing was the Galaxy Opal 12-0 reward. It was evident that despite the tiered concept, the matchmaking itself hadn't changed. This ultimately meant that the tiers were absolutely meaningless. The grind was exactly the same as last year, except they had turned a 12-0 grind into a 68-win grind, which required you to go 23-1 and 12-0 at the end of the run. This also meant that all the pre-existing exploits remained. New players would load into the game and run into players that were overall glitching. There was no such concept of skill-based matchmaking, it was just completely random. And the only thing games were actually based on was just random overalls. So this ultimately meant that Unlimited was exactly the same as last year in every area other than a 1-day grind becoming a 2-week grind. And remember I said at the start, I think the only thing that could have improved Unlimited last year is if they made it 10-0 instead of 12-0. This year, they made that exact same mode 68 wins. Alongside the epic grind, Unlimited faces another challenge which is extremely underwhelming rewards. Apart from the odd exception last year such as Glenn Rice, Unlimited rewards in general have been extremely underwhelming. And I'm not only talking about the 12-0 rewards, I'm talking about these crates that you get in the tiers this year. For completing every tier you get a different box, and in that box is different players. And the fact that in the pink diamond tier, which is an 11-1 tier, we are still getting diamond cards that are worth 1.5k. To be honest, they're probably a quick sell for 1k. Is just ludicrous at this point. It is a really clear demonstration, the fact that they haven't upgraded these crates, that 2K have basically forgotten Unlimited exists as a mode. Now, going back to the actual physical 12-0 reward, the main card, it was fine last year that the cards weren't amazing. The reward card last year was more of a trophy for going 12-0. With the 12-0 run not being the most demanding thing for a decently skilled player, it didn't matter too much that the reward wasn't always a top tier card in the game. But with these new requirements and the grind that goes into it, it's vital that the reward is top tier. To win 68 games of Unlimited with a 23-1 run and a 12-0 run at the end is no joke. Cards such as Patrick Ewing and Andre Iguodala were simply not worth the grind, even just as a trophy. The next issue that's been prevalent since the start of 2K21 is algo, and what seems to be a huge dial-up in the impact. Last year, algo was prevalent in the game. It was designed to keep newer or weaker players invested in the game by providing a shift in sliders for a period of time, which kicked in when the opponent was outmatched. This would usually be a quarter here and there in a game. While algo was still an issue last year, it has clearly been dialed up to 1,000 this year, with over-the-top algo lasting entire games, as well as going one step further to very evident scripting within the games. If you find yourself playing very similar games again and again, i.e. being out-rebounded by 10 to 15 a game despite having elite rebounders, finding that you go on a bad run in the second half of every game, that your opponent is making every full white and you just can't make one, this is not algo anymore, this is scripting. And there's no better example of scripting than when we got Michael Redd last season, because every game I played after we got Michael Redd was exactly the same. The second half of every game, I felt like I was just running bronze cards. They just couldn't move. They could not do anything for me. The algo was still there as my opponent continued to hit full whites at the other end, and I couldn't make one. But that same script was there in every single game. I genuinely felt like if I wasn't up by 20 or 30 points at the half, that I was probably going to lose the game. And although games went either way, the script was always the same. To make matters even worse, the difficulty appears to be on Pro, with the cards being so overpowered now, and with the algo so heavily prevalent. We are seeing scenarios where someone with very little skill or ability can shoot 70 to 75% from 3. And they can do that even if they don't green a single shot. And the identical shots could be taken at the other end, but with the sliders adjusted through algo, that person could end up shooting 25% in the exact same scenario. Meaning a huge majority of games right now are purely being decided by algo. The final nail in the coffin was the inevitable and final introduction of skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking was clearly a goal of 2K's when they launched the tier system at the start of the year. It would have made complete sense to have skill-based matchmaking based on tiers, but for whatever reason 2K were unable to introduce this mechanic at the start of the year. Unfortunately, that meant halfway through a season, they decided to introduce it in a completely ham-fisted way a month ago. Disregarding tiers, the grind, the importance of skill gaps in order to complete Unlimited, they opted to introduce it for every game at every tier. Meaning players that have dedicated themselves to being better at the game are not only playing elite competition in the Galaxy Opal tier, but every single game in their 68 win run, including their first game in the Silver tier. You could even argue that you have a much better opportunity to go 12-0 being an average player because you're less likely to run into elite players. And this takes us right back to the start of the game as well, because it leads to another introduction that they had then, which was win ratios, which make no sense whatsoever. Win ratios are not real things. They are affected heavily by 3 different things right now: skill-based matchmaking, algo, and most importantly, those relentless and inevitable error codes. Win ratios were supposed to be designed to separate the best players from the weaker players, But if the weaker players are playing weaker players, the win ratio means nothing. And alongside these issues, it's just becoming more and more evident that 2K themselves are just no longer invested in Unlimited as a game mode. With such a heavy focus on an RNG mode such as TTO, TT Offline, XP Agenda and all of this, it's rare that you will ever see an incentive to play Unlimited at all. Apart from the anomaly with the free Millsap card and the occasional XP, 2K have offered no events in relation to Unlimited for months, to the point they've even removed it from the Win the Weekend agenda. There are a handful of players in the world who will still continue to dominate in Unlimited due to the sheer size of their skill gap towards the next guy. But even these elite players who have invested time and energy to be really good at this game, to really stand out, are losing games and sweating against the skill-based matchmaking and all the algo-driven nonsense. What that means is that people that have grinded really hard to be good at this game, the people that tended to enjoy this game the most, that would go online and blow people out, just simply aren't enjoying the game or having fun anymore. Not every game should feel like a 250k qualifier or a wager or a comp game. If you put the time in to be good at this game, why should every single person that you play be at a similar skill level? It just makes no sense. And this has created an absolute disaster for content creators. Content creators that for years would showcase their elite ability in the game while doing a gameplay for a new card. Noticeably, gameplay videos are disappearing. With content creators rarely showing their unlimited records or win ratios, it's evident that even if they do get a good gameplay in, it likely took them multiple attempts, because every time they tried to run a gameplay with a card, they were running into an elite player. This combination of pointless tiers, an epic grind, algo, pro difficulty, OP cards, skill-based matchmaking, all of these things has just left Unlimited a completely broken and abandoned game mode. It is very clear that this is a mode 2K have no interest in improving or fixing, with it likely being the last time we see Unlimited as a game mode at all. And it pains me to say this because of how much I enjoyed Unlimited in 2K20, but I really hope we never see Unlimited as a game mode again. So what is the short-term solution? Well, it's very simple, 2K. You just need to add in Quick Match, and just add it in as a standalone mode. Remove skill-based matchmaking, remove algo, don't make it awards-based, don't make it RNG-based. For any online game, the key online mode is Quick Match. The fact that it doesn't exist in 2K is just ridiculous. This mode will allow people to go online, not worry about rewards, tiers or consequences, and actually do the main thing a mode like MyTeam is designed to do. And that is people building a team to go online to have fun playing a 5v5 game mode. Let me repeat that, 2K. Have fun playing a 5v5 game mode. Introduce Quick Match today. Get it done. That's the video, guys. They're my thoughts. They might be controversial, you might agree with some of it, you might not. I stand firm in those beliefs, but leave a comment below, let me know what you think. That's the video for today, guys. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys.